Hey guys, welcome to Hope with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Traylor. And today, guys, our podcast is featuring Judy and Ambry, who suffer with IgAN. If you've never heard of IgAN, guess what? Neither have I. Just here recently, I've been kind of looking at it because I knew we were fixing to do this podcast with Judy. And we actually had Judy on before, and she had talked about IgAN. But I don't know a whole lot about information about IgAN. And many of you out there may be questioning or wondering what IgAN is as well. So we brought on two excellent, amazing guests. I was just having a good time with them backstage and talking with them. And I can't wait to bring them on. We have Judy from Hawaii. And we have Ambreanna. And so this is going to be an excellent show. I hope you guys will get involved in this one, ask questions, get engaged, and share this with all your friends because we definitely want to get the information out there. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest to the show. Whoops.
Kick. Everybody shake it, baby.
Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hello, Jonathan, or it's aloha.
All right.
That's right. I forgot to mention that you were all the way over in Hawaii.
No, you told him. You just forgot to mention
You
I was
told
in
him.
Colorado.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
I apologize. Colorado sounds like a really cool place. That's somewhere I haven't been. So
I mean, it's all right.
it's all right. It's all right.
I much
Well,
rather would be in Hawaii.
Absolutely. I think everybody would like.
come. No.
Well, listen, I want you guys to take your turns and take your time and introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about yourself. You want to start
You
with
want
Judy?
to go first, Judy?
I'll go. So, as Jonathan mentioned, I'm Judy. I live in Hawaii, and in 2019, my whole world completely flipped upside down. I went in for a regular PC appointment, just kind of touching base with the PC that I used to go to 10 years ago, and decided that I needed to go back to her because I wasn't really liking the doctors I was going to. And I went back to her, and it took me 3 months to get in for an appointment. I kept having an appointment, canceling, life. And I went in, and she just kind of looked at me and was like, hey, we got to get your blood pressure under control. This is not like you. And I said, okay. She's like, so I'm going to throw a whole bunch of labs at you. You're going to go do them, and then we're going to see where we're at. The next appointment, which was a week later, I walked in and she told me that I had stage 3 chronic kidney disease. So from there, it kind of became a journey of finding out what was causing the chronic kidney disease. Basically, was it the blood pressure causing the kidney disease, or was the kidney disease causing the blood pressure?
Right.
So we went in and we went to a nephrologist. I finally got to go see a nephrologist in early August. And by the time I went to see the nephrologist, I had experienced a mini stroke. My blood pressure had gone all the way up to 200, over 100. And so all these things were happening. And I wasn't supposed to actually see my nephrologist until September. And my PC called and was like, no, you're seeing her, and you're seeing her now. So he squeezed me in, went in, had my appointment with him, was like, okay, your GFR. And when I started this whole journey, my GFR was 44 and my creatinine was 1.4. So that was in early July. So this is early August. My creatinine was now 25 over, I want to say 2 point something. Sorry, I don't remember the exact number. And he said, okay, we're going to do some more labs.
I don't remember any of mine.
Right? We're going to do some more labs. We're going to see where you're at. And then and then we'll take it from Monday. You come back and see me, and we'll take it from there. So Monday I went back in. My GFR dropped down to 22. My creatinine was 2.5. And he said, that's it. You are being admitted. We're putting you in the hospital. We're going to do a biopsy. We're going to put you on high doses of steroids. And we're going to, figure out what's causing this. Wow. So 2 days later, I got the biopsy, and the next day I found out it was IgAN nephropathy. And it was just a big, what are you talking about? And followed up with, it's incurable and there's no treatment. Okay, so what are we going to do? So he decided to put me on high doses of prednisone. Yay. And basically,
I've heard a lot of horror stories.
It's the devil drug for sure.
It's the devil. It's the devil's tic tac. There's a reason why we call it that.
Judy, if you don't mind me interrupting you really quickly, how old were you when you had this diagnosis?
I was 40, just about to turn 46.
Okay.
And so I did the high doses of prednisone. He started sending me to classes to learn about dialysis. And we have this class here called Aloha Kidney, where they basically walk you through living with chronic kidney disease and what dialysis options you have, the transplant options, and then they even cover a natural kidney life, which basically means you don't do anything and you just let your kidneys do what they're going to do, which was very depressing. But at the same time was an extreme eye opener. Right. And the more I thought about it, and the more I kept doing my labs on prednisone and just kind of seeing my GFR slowly changing, I was like, I have to do something more. So I decided to go completely plant-based in November of 2019.
Congrats. I mean, honestly, I couldn't do it. Like, good job. Good on you.
I'm the first person to admit I cheat. I take my
bites. It happens.
Pizza. Well, and I figure the way that I figure is like, I'm going to take my little cheap bites, because if I don't, I'm going to eat a whole cheeseburger or a whole slice of pizza. And that's what I cannot be doing. Right. So I basically did that, and I followed that for up until now, and did the prednisone and started seeing changes. And the biggest change, though, I have to say, came in March of 2020. Yes, the same time that COVID hit, because I was laid off from work. So I worked at an extremely high stress job. I was a manager at a hotel, and I got let go because of COVID. And because I'm pretty sure part of it was because they knew they had an immunocompromised person working with people, and they were like, we're not going to put you through that. Wow. So they let me go. Right. And my GFR went from 30, like low 30s to like almost up to 50 in a month, just from not working. So, so basically that was the moment that me and my husband went, aha. And my husband's like, you're not going back to work. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we are. We'll flash forward so that we all have time to talk. We will flash forward. Here I am now. I am completely off prednisone, have not been on prednisone since June of 2021. I was taken off of losartan for my blood pressure about 3-4 months ago. Sadly, I'm back on losartan, but we think it's just because of all the stress I'm going through right now. Got a lot of stuff going on. But my GFR is stable. I'm in my stable zone. So my baseline is 40 to 45 and my creatinine's about 1.4. So I'm basically where I started my whole journey. I'm back to where I started. And as long as I stay here, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, you're pretty stable at this time.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that your kidneys and the medical condition of the IgAN just cannot handle stress very well.
No.
Stress is our number one killer.
Number one, stress is the number one trigger for our disease, and again because it's so related to blood pressure.
Right.
That any stress is going to affect you. But you know what? I believe that's the case with all diseases, honestly, especially autoimmune diseases. I feel like IgA nephropathy is an autoimmune disease, and I think with autoimmune diseases, stress is a huge contributor, because I also do believe that most of the autoimmune diseases that people live with are also trauma related.
Sure.
And trauma triggered. Of course, stress, trauma, it all kind of goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Yes. Super trauma based.
Well, well, how about you, Ambri? Would you like to go now?
Yeah, my story is kind of a lot crazier and kind of all over the place. So basically, I had been sick my whole life. My parents and everybody thought I was just faking it because nothing was coming up on my labs or anything. Back in 2016, my husband at the time and I moved to North Carolina to be near his family, and I had felt the best I'd felt probably ever. And I had found out I was about 12 weeks pregnant when I had got there. Was gotten really sick, constantly throwing up, nauseous all the time. This had been going on for years. As I said, I had been diagnosed previously prior to that with celiac disease. And so I kind of started eating gluten-free, but that was just making me sicker. So I just can kind of contribute my sickness at that time to me being pregnant. A few months later, I ended up miscarrying and had a lot of stress contributing factors. My marriage wasn't going very well. I ended up moving to Michigan to be with my dad to start college because my dad called and told me he was going to start trying to pay for my college for me. And I was like, great, because I needed help out with that. And I was like, it was a perfect time to get, kind of close to my dad. So I moved out there, and within a few months, I had gotten really, really sick. And I had started working at Walgreens, and I had gotten a 4-day migraine for, as I said, it was like 4 days. And I went to the urgent care, and they had told me that they had given me medication, told me if the medication didn't work that I would need to go to the actual hospital, the emergency room. And I was like, okay, cool. So I take it. A few days later, I go to work. And then a few days later, the headache returns. So I take the medication. 5 hours go by, and I have like 3 hours before work. And I'm like, this isn't going away. So I went to the emergency room, and they told me to pee in a cup, basically. And at that point, my labs came back that my creatinine was high, and my GFR was really low. As I said, I don't really remember any of my numbers at this point. So at this point, I knew I needed to see a nephrologist because I'm pretty medically inclined. And so I made an appointment with an actual care provider because I had just moved there and I had just gotten Medicaid and stuff. So I had to find a primary care provider before they could send me to a nephrologist and all that. So they sent, I went to the primary care provider. This was in 2017. I went to the primary care provider. She ordered me to go to a urologist because she had done an ultrasound on me and found basically some like abscesses on my hilum. So she wanted to check it onto that because I had never had any like issues before. So we went and did the ultrasound within like 4 days or so, and they came back that the abscesses had moved from my my hilum to my right kidney, and that was really, really weird. So she was like, we really want to go into that. So we want to do a urogram. So I went and I did my urogram and come back, and they found absolutely nothing, no abscesses, no nothing on my kidneys, but my creatinine and everything was still high, and my GFR was still low. So at this point, me and my husband, he had actually moved from North Carolina back to Michigan with me to be with me to start making our marriage work and stuff. And we decided at that point to come back to Colorado because we knew we could get better health care. And I could see the doctors that had been seeing basically since I was like 16. So we come back here. I go in, I see her for a little bit, and I don't see a nephrologist for about a full year. I come back, I see a nephrologist, probably, I think it was December 6th of 2019. She ordered a biopsy by I did the biopsy by the 12th, and by the 18th, they were calling me to get me into the hospital for emergency admission. And when I had got there, I was really scared because I didn't know what was going on. I had just gotten out of my spine clinic appointment, and literally I live 5 minutes across the street from the hospital of where I was, and the nurse had called me from the nephrology clinic and told me that they wanted to see me Friday in the office and that I needed to start emergency treatment. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll go home and I'll tell everybody what's going on. So I come here, I literally drive into my driveway, as I said, 5 minutes later, and a different nurse is calling me to tell me I have to emergency admit myself to the hospital.
Wow.
So at this point, I had a braces appointment because I had braces at the time to go and get my braces fixed. So I was like, can I go get that done first and then come in? And she was like, yeah, go ahead and do that. So I went and I did that. During this time, the doctor comes in, and I'm not even sure what's going on. But basically, he's telling me I need to start chemotherapy and steroid treatment, or else I'll die by New Year's.
Oh, my God.
And I'm sitting there thinking I've got cancer or something because, as I said, he didn't tell me a diagnosis. And then his phone rings, and he answers it, and he leaves the room. So I'm sitting there wondering, what the hell is my diagnosis? What the hell is going on? I'm freaking out because I'm dying. Like, they're telling me I'm dying if I don't emergency admit myself for chemotherapy, and I'm freaking out. Exactly. So he comes back in the room, and I'm like, so what's the diagnosis and stuff? And then he finally tells me IgAN and stuff like that. And finally, I already knew about it because during this time I was in vet school, and we hear about that more often in animals, and especially cats, is kidney disease and stuff like that. Yep. And we deal with immunoglobulin A, which is the IgA part of the nephropathy. We deal with that quite often in the vet field. So I kind of knew already a little bit about it, and I kind of had already started asking my chemistry teacher about it because it kind of had stuck out to me when we were reading about it in school. So I kind of had already guessed that I was kind of on that line of having IgA or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of how I found out I had IgA. And then it just kind of went really, really downhill from there. I did an And this was right when COVID started, is when I started my chemotherapy and stuff. And I ended up losing my job and stuff because I couldn't work. I became physically disabled to the point I was so sick.
Right.
And they had let me go from my job. And I just, as I said, it went downhill really, really fast from there.
It sounds kind of like my story. You know, I'm guessing that, you know, you said you had a little bit of knowledge of IgAN because of, you know, working, studying cats, which is funny
Yeah.
you mentioned that because I own 2 cats, and one of them actually has struvite crystals,
Okay.
which is basically, you know, stones.
Mhm.
But he's on a renal diet,
Okay.
and we have to feed him a special
As I
diet.
said, we hear about it more
Yeah.
often in cats and stuff and like
Yep.
that. I was just in vet school, but yeah, as I
Yep.
said, I lost everything because of this. I mean, it
Yep.
literally took everything right from me.
But I'm guessing beforehand, before you even knew that neither one of, you know, you didn't know anything about IgAN before
No,
then.
I had no idea. I had no idea I should even be
Nothing.
looking into kidney disease or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
And, you know,
Me neither.
and I was the same way. You know, I crashed into dialysis in 2019. I was laying in the bed with what I thought was the flu. Because it mimicked the same symptoms. I was throwing up. I couldn't keep anything down, and then I didn't have any strength, and I just didn't want to eat, and I just felt like I was really lethargic and wanting to sleep a lot,
Yeah,
and
back when
then
I think what started mine was back when I was 15. I ended up getting bronchitis for 3 months, and they say that a prolonged sickness can cause that. But I also was pregnant at the same time, so I didn't know if that could have caused it. But I had been basically sick around the same time and ever since then. But my parents were always like, oh, it's all in your head. You're not really that sick. Like, you're just using it as an excuse. And I'm like, no, I'm really sick. But as I said, nothing was coming up on my labs, and nothing did up until 2017.
so it can be a silent disease
Yeah.
as well, huh?
Yeah, it's called
Yeah.
the silent killer.
Silent killer.
Yes.
I actually was sorry, I'm getting really bad feedback. Let me know if
You're
you
good.
can hear me. Sorry guys.
It's okay.
I actually was going to a doctor, and he told me that I just needed to lose weight the whole time. Like, never told me anything about my labs, never told me anything. It was just like, you need to lose weight. And that pretty much was his response to me.
Yeah. You know, I find it amazing that, you know, you guys had went through what you went through, especially you, Ambry, with your story is just incredible. And Judy had told me before that you'd really been through a lot
Yeah, I
with
kind of,
this.
and I still am like, I'm still going through a lot more. Like, on top of that, I've got psoriasis, I've got really bad back problems, I've got a reoccurring ovarian cyst that we're pretty sure is endometriosis at this point, and I've been in and out of the hospital in the last year for that. And so it just kind of been a ridiculous up and down coaster of craziness.
Yeah. Yep. It seems like it's always a roller coaster up and down with any form of a kidney, anything that's related to kidney.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
so for our viewers out there, the ones that are, you know, watching, going to come across this video and watch it later, uh, who wants to define what exactly IgAN is, and and what it stands for? The IgAN. What exactly is it?
You want to take the show, Judy?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can get my mic working. Okay. Basically, when the hemoglobin A attacks your kidneys. So the hemoglobin A develops in the gut, and it basically goes at war and goes up to the kidneys and starts attacking it and makes it so that the filter systems get all clogged. So you start leaking protein, blood, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. it almost sounds like, though, in a way, kind of a typical kidney disease diagnosis, though, because a lot of different diseases that affect the kidneys cause protein leakage and blood in the urine and things like that. So how do they exactly know that you have IgAN or IgA?
So immunoglobulin A is actually the immunoglobulin that normally attacks the actual basically like infections and stuff that you get, but instead it's actually attacking your kidneys. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Yeah.
It's still really kind of up there about what the actual medical definition is for IgAN and how to find IgAN and exactly get like a full diagnosis based off of your labs. You absolutely have to get a biopsy done.
Okay. Yeah, and we have a guest here. Just want to send a shout out to C. Wright. Appreciate you tuning in. We also have Kyle from KWM from Toronto, Canada. He's been chiming in, and we have Jared
Kyle.
Brown. Jared Brown with the Warriors
Hello.
Quest show. Hope everyone's doing well. But he has a question here. He was wondering about how your experience was with biopsy. How did it go for you guys?
For me,
Do you want to go
it
first?
went really easy. It went really easy. It was I was already in the hospital. So they just took me down, took me to radiation. They numbed the area. They did the biopsy. I went back to my room and that was it. I had a little bit of pain, but with me, I was having bleeding issues. So it took a while for them to stop the bleeding.
Wow. Yeah. I'm always scared whenever they say the word biopsy and I hear people's stories about, what they actually do to do the biopsy. It's basically like a sample of your kidney and they kind of puncture it.
It does sound a little scary.
I'm always scared about damage to the kidney. So, like, you're going to poke me in the kidney that is already acting up. And then, and so I just get a little bit
there's
nervous.
always that possibility with that,
Yeah.
with like any kind of biopsy. So,
Right.
I mean, for me, my biopsy was pretty easy as well. I do know they had to use like an ultrasound and stuff to like really get in close because they couldn't see. Because my kidneys are just so very, very, very tiny. They're probably about this big together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ambreanna, you are currently on dialysis. It's affected
Correct.
you to the point that it's shut your kidneys down. How long have you been?
So I've been on dialysis. I started dialysis for about a month last year, and I was having a lot of infiltration problems in my fistula here. And the company I was with at the time wasn't really trying to figure it out, and the dialysis was actually making me sicker at the time. So I talked to my nephrologist, and he said that I could just be monitored. And he didn't really kind of monitor me very much, as I said, for like the whole last year. So, but yeah, I ended up not getting monitored, and then I ended up getting on I stopped the dialysis after a month, and then I knew that I was going to have to start it probably again at the beginning of this year, and then that's when I did, and so I've been on it ever since, and I've been having, filtration issues. I just had a surgery on this probably about a month ago. I just had my checkup like 2 days ago, so we can now use this, but I've been using this chest port for a while now.
Okay. And so you're on hemodialysis.
Correct.
Was that your choice of modality, or did you think about doing peritoneal or anything
So
like that?
I really didn't know much of the difference. I was kind of forced onto hemodialysis. When I went in to go talk about getting and switching to peritoneal, they wanted a bunch of different things as far as like doing a home inspection and stuff like that. And I just didn't have the home and the stability at the time. So we're working on that right now. And then also the surgeon that was going to do it was really concerned that the surgery I had at 7 months old on my ureters, because I had a ureter replacement surgery, to make sure I didn't get so many UTIs and stuff and have kidney problems.
Yeah.
But apparently that didn't work. So I had that surgery at 7 months old, and they were concerned that the scarring from that could stop the stent from going in.
Sure. And that's understandable. They definitely don't want to mess up something else.
Yeah, and during the time, as I said, I was in vet school, so I wasn't willing to take the more time off to make sure to go into a surgery that could or could not work by the time I got in or out of it.
Sure.
So right now we're in the process of, me and my boyfriend are in the process of moving, and then once we move, we'll get the home inspection and stuff done, and then we'll go from there about doing the surgery and stuff, because I've got a new surgeon and stuff.
Absolutely. You know, if you can do home dialysis, I recommend it. My last 3 months of hemo, I did home hemo.
I've heard it's a lot easier on the body, so I'm willing to do that. If I even have to stay with home hemo, that's fine.
I'm telling you, it liberated my schedule. I felt better. I got my weekends back. I felt more in control.
That's good.
And you know, my wife was my care partner, so you know, we were like a team. You know, and you know, things that she would forget to do, I'd say, oh yeah, you know, don't forget, we got to check my blood pressure, or we got to put in the heparin, or you know, do this or that. So it was great. It really worked great.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a nurse or whatever, but that's totally fine. My boyfriend, he's too skittish of that stuff. He can't even be in the room when they're poking me for labs.
My wife
it's honestly
the same thing. But she got accustomed to it really quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure he would too. I just I don't want to put all the pressure on him. So I have somebody who's willing to come in for like $100 a week and poke me and stuff. So that's great.
It's why I decided that when I do go on dialysis, and I say when, sorry, because it is a matter of time.
Right.
I want to do PD because I just can't put it on my caregivers.
Well, that was my next question for you, Judy. Was you've been able to avert dialysis for a long time, living with this, or you know, for a while now. What? And I think we discussed this your last interview, but can we, for the viewers that are watching now, how are you able to avert dialysis and keep your labs and stuff in good standing?
I credit it all to following a very strict plant-based diet. I don't eat a lot of things that are processed, so I make a lot of stuff from scratch. I also very low sodium. So if
that's funny.
If I cook something from at home, I'm not adding salt to it. So if it already has salt in it, then that's okay. But I also try to look at things that are 5% or below per serving. I do have things now that I will eat just because I like them that are a little higher than the 5%. But on a whole, I don't eat a lot of salt at all. And I credit all that with keeping my kidneys stable.
Yeah, I did the same thing with following the renal diet. You know, when my kidneys failed, I mean, they started schooling me right away in the hospital. I mean, within like the 2 weeks that I was in the ICU, I got all this information just slammed at me really quickly, and I had to pick up on it quickly, or I wasn't going to survive. I mean, my creatinine, I had 0 kidney function. It was like 25 was my creatinine at that time.
Yeah, mine's at like 16 right now, so I get it.
and they were like, you know, you got to stop eating cheese, and you got to stop eating this and that, and I'm like, whoa, hold up.
I'm not giving up my cheese. You're psycho.
Like,
cheese is a hard one. Cheese is my kryptonite.
Cheese is
it's my kryptonite.
but then after you start doing the research and you realize, I can have
Mhm.
maybe a little bit of mozzarella here and there, if I
So
play
my
it right.
dietitian, she's really good. She's all she does everything based off of your labs. She's not gonna
Yeah.
say you can't have anything. She's just saying in moderation. Depending on your labs, depends on what you can eat. Like my labs are perfectly fine right now, so I
True.
can eat whatever the fuck I want basically, but don't go too crazy. I don't also add a lot of salt to my food. When I crave like sweet stuff, I crave a lot of fruits and stuff. So I'm really lucky that my body craves a lot of, basically just like natural, like process, like natural sweets. So I'm really lucky that my body gives me that. Also, like my body will look at like different breads and stuff and tell me it's either too much or like protein, like meat protein. Same thing. I can look at a piece of meat and be like, that's too much for me. And basically my body will start making me sick at the point it becomes too much. So I just basically listen to my body, and it has guided me pretty well. It's just I have a very, very aggressive IgA compared to what Judy has. And I didn't get the chance to get all of that, started before I found out immediately that it was already killing my kidneys, and my kidneys were basically at 3%. And that's kind of where we were with that. Yeah.
I think had I waited, like if I would have missed one more appointment, I think it would have been a completely different situation. I think because I was told that I do have an aggressive case, but because my PC jumped on it so fast and like basically like she was on vacation and she called the nephrologist from vacation to say, you have to see this girl. And had
you
that
have
not
to get her
happened,
in, right?
I would be on dialysis right now. It would be a completely different situation.
Absolutely.
I was fortunate.
Yeah, you really was. And Jared had mentioned earlier. Is the disease much like? Is it similar to lupus, or is it not?
Very similar?
Very similar.
Very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually thought I had lupus before too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I went from celiac to lupus to IgA.
Yeah.
So
that was the first thing they tested me for was lupus. They were like,
also, Judy, do you have another autoimmune disease on top of IgA or just IgA?
I actually have two more. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and then I also have Hashimoto's. And then I have fibromyalgia, which is kind of one of those.
I do have that one too.
Autoimmune disease? Is it not an autoimmune disease?
Right, they're not sure.
Really sure.
Yeah. See, I've got psoriasis and that.
Is that a little bit of the IgA and the kidney, where the kidneys aren't functioning very well, that you get some of these other, or is it mainly from the IgA?
I really feel like they go coincided.
Yeah.
Like, what I was explained when I got diagnosed with the rheumatoid by my rheumatologist was that once you get one autoimmune disease, it kind of opens the door for other things to come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's your body is fighting itself. So
that almost sounds like sort of like mental illness, they say, or mental health, that some people have, like 2 or 3. Like I'm being serious. I mean,
no, seriously. It's true.
Like people that suffer sometimes with like ADHD also have
have anxiety,
anxiety or
depression, anxiety.
Depression, it's like,
I have depression, anxiety, and I believe ADHD.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Too. You're good.
I said mental illness. I meant mental health. I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
You're okay.
I'm going to school to be a psychologist. You're fine.
It's a huge subject right now. I mean, I have intermittent family members going through it. I've went through it personally. And it's a big subject right now because a lot of people have hidden things like that. But over the years, so it definitely, with chronic illness, mental health plays a big part too. How do you guys balance that?
So I think with me, what I've come to realize is that it's a constant grieving of the self. So once you get diagnosed with a chronic illness, be it whatever chronic illness it is, you're never going to be that person that you were before. You're never going to have the plans that you had before, your dreams, your
No,
hopes,
ma'am.
all of that changes. So every day you're dealing with that. And it's different from regular grief because eventually it kind of balances out and you get okay with it. When you're grieving the self, you have to live with it every single day, and you'll see things and you'll be like, oh, I used to be able to do that, and then you're taken right back there.
Yeah.
And then you add in diagnosis. Every time you have a new symptom, every time you get a new diagnosis, it just hits you again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm reminded of that almost every day when my son wants to go work out at the gym. And I go to do things sometimes that I remember I could do before, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, before kidney disease dang near killed me. And then now I'm like, yeah, I'm not as, I'm not as stable as I used to be, or my legs are a little shakier than what they used to be, and different things. Like I said, yes, I'm a transplant recipient. We were talking about this backstage, but it's definitely just another form of treatment for kidney disease. The kidney disease doesn't go away just because you have a kidney given to you, or you receive a gift of life of transplant,
or you're on dialysis.
Or you're on dialysis, right?
Like that's a big one. Is people get the misconception that just because you're on dialysis that you're getting better. And that's not always the case. And I mean, like for me, like the dialysis is actually making me worse, and I'm always consistently fighting sepsis and stuff like that, and in and out of the hospital because of it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest shock to me when I took that Aloha Kidney class was when they started talking about dialysis, and they started talking about how much your life expectancy goes down.
Right.
Just from being on dialysis.
Yeah,
so
I was told 2 to 3 years every day that I'm on it, and I have a prognosis of 2 to 3 years. Even though I'm young and I'm just so sick, I only have 2 to 3 year prognosis of life expectancy on dialysis at this current time.
And it's crazy. They do tell you that, and it may be a rare occasion, but I do know of people that have survived on dialysis for many years. There was a lady in my center that had been on it for like over 20 years.
Yeah, there's my chairmate. She's been on it for about 15, 20 years herself. So
yeah.
But they've just told me because of how sick it's making me and how many complications I'm having, it's just not doing me any justice. So it's actually making me sicker at this time.
Yeah. I think you have to be aware of the effects that it has on your body, your heart. There's also calcification that can happen, and things like that. And so you have to be, mindful of those things. But but one question I did have for you guys is, and we kind of talked about this backstage, is how rare is IgAN? Is it becoming more current and more popular, or not popular, but showing up more?
I think it's showing up more because people are more aware.
Yeah.
I was like, there's more people even on like the Facebook websites and stuff for the IgA pages and stuff, like 13 plus or 13,000 K people. And they're like, it's just becoming more, people are more aware of this actual kidney disease compared to like, just regular nephritis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a year ago, I reached out to the National Kidney Foundation here. And they told me I'm the first case they've heard of in Hawaii in 12 years, which is surprising because we have a huge Asian population, and this is very prevalent in Asians. So it's kind of like, really? But just in the last 4 months, I've learned of 3 new cases.
Okay.
And to the point where there's a local kidney support group here that wants to bring me on as one of their people to kind of welcome in the new IgA nephropathy patients.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I think it's really awareness. You know, we just had the first ever annual IgAN Awareness Day.
Yeah,
So
I
IgA
seen that.
Nephropathy Awareness
Mhm.
was May 14th.
Mm-hmm.
So there's new information coming out. It's becoming more mainstream, especially with things like TikTok and
Mhm.
Instagram and these kind of things. It's getting out there.
Mhm.
And I think what else is helping is the fact that we've been in the media because we had a treatment finally approved by the FDA for us.
I
That's
seen that.
specific for IgA nephropathy,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Tarpeo.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
I would imagine so. Yeah. When I
And
read
you
it,
said
I
you were
immediately.
getting like 3 more, Judy, or 2 more that
Sorry,
might be approved?
Oh no, there's about to be one was just announced, I think yesterday or today.
Okay.
It's being put out by Travene, and I'm pretty sure it's going to FDA approval.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so there'll be a second one.
That sounds super exciting. Super exciting for you guys,
It
especially
is.
for people that are going to be newly diagnosed in the future. It sounds like they're going to be able to offer them that treatment early on,
Mm-hmm.
which is exciting.
And I think, there's IgA nephropathy, the IgAN Foundation has been doing a lot of work to get information out there to
Yes.
build
Mhm.
support for patients. I mean, they have a support group on I think it's the third Monday of every month. They do a
Mhm.
virtual meeting. So it can be patients from all over the world can just come together and support each other, which I think is really huge when you live with a rare disease.
Mhm.
And so that's a great resource for anyone who is newly diagnosed with IgA nephropathy. Is I think you really connect with IgAN Foundation because it's going to connect you with people that are going through the same thing as you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and just
and
try to get yourself out there on like social media and stuff
Mhm.
too, because that's how I met Judy and stuff, and I've met like so many other different IgA patients, even literally
Yep.
so close to me and everything. So I think it's really important to get yourself out there, and at least even if you're not very big on social media, at least just make yourself a kidney page so people can follow your journey and
Yeah.
kind of like support you, and so you can support them as well. We all have our kidney pages. You have your Hope with Jonathan page. She has her Judy's Journey page, and I have my Ambreanna's Alliance page. All on Facebook, and then we have all of our Instagrams and TikToks and stuff like that. And I think it's really important to get it out there social media wise the way that we are. And like with stuff like this, doing these podcasts is really fantastic. This is really great, Jonathan. I'm really happy that you brought us on here today. Like, this is really a really cool thing that you've done here.
No, it's an honor to have you on and share your story because I believe what we're doing is impactful and helping others out there. Some years back, I'm sure there wasn't maybe anybody out there talking about IgAN like this on
No, I
the
didn't see
platform.
anything like this, like
No.
at all, like
Yeah.
even about other diseases like gastroparesis or anything like this. And now it's becoming like a super big thing all over social media. You just type in those hashtags and you find exactly what you're looking for,
And
and
you
you're
find
going to
your
find
people.
your people. Right. Yeah. You're going to find your people.
Yeah.
You find your people, you find your tribe, your village, whatever you want to call it. Like, you're going to find
Exactly.
those people. And it's great because when you're in those darkest moments and feel like nobody understands, there are people that understand, and there are people that are right there with you.
Or they just know to message you at the right time, and they're just like, hey, I noticed you're having a problem. Hey, how are you doing? It's really great to have that, especially when you don't have a lot of support from your family or something like that, because not everybody has that situation. And it's really good to have this broad situation and make sure that we can get all of this information out here this way. So it's really great that you have this platform we can use as well to get our stories out. And I really, as I said, I do appreciate you for letting us use your platform for this. it's really fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. I'd already interviewed Judy a year ago.
Yeah, that's
So
what you're saying.
yeah, but I see Judy doing incredible things on her TikTok
Oh yeah.
and and
Always getting information out there, and she's
absolutely.
always even motivating me to get out there and dance my heart out,
Yeah.
and even when I'm
Okay,
hurting
guys,
and
stop.
stuff. Yes, you do a fantastic job, even though you like sometimes I can tell you're like, I'm a little embarrassed of this, but I'm gonna put it out there anyways. I'm here for it, girl. I am here for it.
Yeah.
I will say it was really hard doing all the dances building up to May 14th. Like I was like,
You did so good. I was so excited for you.
well, thankfully Lizzo came out with that one because
Right.
that really helped.
Well, Jared says that he thinks you have an amazing online presence, and I think that's probably what he's talking about. Was
Oh yeah,
the
she
way
totally
that
does.
you do your TikToks and stuff, and that's one thing I will not do on TikTok. You'll never see me dancing. I'm not a dancer.
Oh, come on.
Around the house maybe, but not on TikTok.
Oh, come on.
But you guys do a great job, and I've seen some of your stuff too, Ambry, and I think you do some great stuff as well. And I think it's great to have platforms. When I got diagnosed, I found out. I started doing research right away. I was on Google and just searching for anything because I crashed in. Yeah, I crashed into dialysis. So I'm like, I don't know anything about this, and
Right.
I came across Jared and Steve with the Urban Health Network, and I came across some great mentor. He's still a mentor in my life, Kent Bressler with Kidney Solutions, and I came across Dad Vice TV, James Fabian, and he's got a huge platform here on YouTube. So I began to watch videos and I began to get educated, and then once I started, putting it out there that I was a kidney patient and I started befriending people, I mean, I was welcomed into the community with like welcome arms. It's
Oh
like
yeah, it's been
huge
real
family,
easy.
so
Everybody's been pretty nice, really nice.
yeah, absolutely. It sounds like that IgAN is definitely, a tough illness to battle for sure. But it sounds like in order to manage it, and you guys correct me if I'm right or wrong, but you definitely got to stay engaged with your medical team.
Oh
You
yeah.
definitely
It's
have to.
consistent answering phone calls and making phone calls. I mean, I swear I only pay my phone for the doctors or the transplant team or dialysis team or whatever. I mean, literally, that's basically what it is. It's a bunch of open communication, and you have to have that with everybody on your team, or else you're all just going to fall apart very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, find doctors that you can have it with.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely advocate for yourself.
For sure.
I wish I could clone my doctors and send my doctors to everybody because they are some of my biggest cheerleaders, and they let me advocate for myself all the time. Like they will let me do my own research. They'll sit down with me. They'll discuss things with me. And they're there. I mean, I emailed my nephrologist yesterday about my blood pressure, and he's emailed me twice in the last 24 hours just to make sure that I got his email.
Yeah, see, my team's like that too at my dialysis center. I have a specific nephrologist that is at my dialysis center, and I talk to her all the time. I have very open communication with them, even including the transplant team that I'm trying to get transplanted with, on top of trying to be sent to another transplant center that I'll have to have open communication with all of their team with. So it's just a constant base of communication. And yes, it does get very tiring because it is only on just you, because you're the only one that can really advocate for yourself. However, my team now, now that I've got a good team and switched from DaVita to Fresenius in the last year with my dialysis, I've gotten such better care, and my team is just always on top of everything. I immediately messaged my social worker when I got all of my transplant basically the letter of the stuff that they needed from me to approve me to take me to selection committee.
Yeah.
I got my letter, and it was really disheartening and stuff like that. And I immediately sent it over, and she immediately took care of it and has already transferred me to a different transplant center and has already put in the referral and everything. And it happened very, very quickly. And they're always really on top of everything and always constantly saying, if you need help advocating, let me know. I will call and I will do what I can. And they're just really fantastic. But I didn't have that 2 years ago, and I had been fighting for them to even listen to me about my health. And it got to the point, as I said, my disease went very, very quickly because of the fact that they weren't really helping me. They weren't listening to me, and I was basically being pushed off.
Right. Where's that hospital at that you're currently listed at? I don't mind you airing.
So I'm not listed yet.
Okay.
As I said, they just sent me a bunch of more things to be compliant with. They want 6 more months of compliancy, but they couldn't even tell me when that started.
Okay.
They want a urology clearance for reoccurring UTIs that I don't have. They want more weight loss, and I've lost over 5 pant sizes in the last year. So I don't want to lose any more weight. I'm comfortable with toning, but we need to discuss that situation. Right. And so I'm waiting for the coordinator to call me back about that. So I don't know when the 6 months started, because the social worker from there called me today and couldn't basically give me any more information than what was on the actual paperwork. Sure. But basically she said that she wasn't sure when the 6 months had started. And then she asked me if I was on dialysis already. And I was like, yeah, I have been for like 6 months. And she was like, oh, okay. It says here you have only been on it for 2 months. But before, she was asking me if I was even on it. And I'm like, did you guys even listen to me at my evaluation?
Right. Now, when you get listed, and even beforehand, message me after the show, and I have some resources that can help you out. Okay?
That would be really helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. So listen, guys, we're kind of coming to the end of our show here, and it's been very informative. But anything that you guys would want to leave for maybe someone that's been recently diagnosed with IgAN, any words of hope or words of wisdom? I guess we'll start with Judy.
Come find your people. Like, honestly, it's going to make it a lot easier to know that you're not alone.
Absolutely.
And we're pretty easy to find.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say immediately go out and search, for the IgA Foundation, search for the Facebook pages, search for the hashtags on your social medias, and then, go from there. And, as she said, find your people, and then do just a lot of research. And if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask, because no question is a stupid question. We've heard it all. We've experienced it all. And at this point, we're kind of all learning together.
Absolutely. No, when it comes to your health, there's no such thing as a dumb question.
No.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. Any shout outs you guys want to give tonight to anybody out there?
I personally want to thank, the IgAN Foundation. I have had a lot of things happen in the last 6 months that they have really helped make possible. So I really appreciate their support.
That's great.
I think for me, it's, basically my whole healthcare team. Without them, I wouldn't be doing the best that I am doing. They're consistently making sure I'm okay, constantly calling. At the end of the month of the dialysis month, they end up giving you like a little report card that tells you how you're doing and stuff. And they're really constantly talking to you. Also, you and Judy, you making this platform possible for us to even use to get our stories out, and being able to connect with each other. And then Judy just has helped me so tremendously, more than she even realizes, in the last year that I've met her. And I'm so thankful. Honestly, I'm excited to come out there and visit you and actually meet your son and husband and stuff, Judy, and maybe meet my family, what that's out there and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm really fortunate for, you know, the people I have met through the IgAN Foundation and my social medias. And as I said, especially you two, helping make this possible.
Absolutely. I think that's awesome that you guys have made a special connection through, you know, a tragic chronic illness, but you've made a beautiful relationship and been able to be a source of support, Judy, to someone else that's going through a similar disease.
I don't think she knows this, but to my family, you're my IgAN little sister.
I feel that. I always tell everybody, you remind me so much of like my mom, if my mom was actually like sober and like, you know, there. But you remind me of who she was back like a few years ago. And it just, I'm really fortunate to have met somebody like Judy and to create such a connection. And the fact is that she lives in Hawaii and I have family there and stuff like that. And it's just really kind of cool to connect. And my boyfriend used to live right down the street from her. And we just found that out a little bit ago. So it was kind of funny when he lived in Hawaii with his ex and stuff. So it's kind of just really cool to see the different kind of connections we can have.
That's the beauty of social media.
Yes.
It is. And it reminds you how small this world actually is.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of social media, where can we find you guys at?
Well, basically anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Ambreanna, or Ambry with the bad beans, or Ambreanna's Alliance.
All right.
And then everything for me is Judy's Journey Hawaii.
Judy's Journeys Hawaii.
Judy's Journey Hawaii.
I love it.
So, guys, the last broadcast, you can go back and check it. It was about a year ago. Judy had this awesome outside backdrop of Hawaii.
Yes.
She wasn't able to do it this time, but it was just gorgeous. The palm trees. I was drooling, and
I'm losing that.
I'm sorry for my fake background. I'm just like, I'm still trying to get my room situated. We just upgraded a bunch of stuff in the bedroom, so it's kind of a mess right now.
Well, this was an awesome podcast. I've had a lot of fun. It's definitely been very informative. If you're going through IgAN or currently, or maybe you're just recently diagnosed, I suggest that you find Judy and find Ambreanna here. And they're a great representation to help kind of lead you in the right directions. And,
even if it's just normal kidney disease, just, reach out. We are totally more than willing to answer questions and help you guys out to lead you to the right place.
Absolutely. And so we've had some pretty cool people. Kyle from KWM, he was wishing he could be here. Jared Brown here, he says thank you for telling your story. We had Steve the kidney nurse, Shane Blanchard from Midwest Kidney Warriors in the house, and so a lot of different people chiming in, commenting. So we definitely appreciate your support for Hope with Jonathan tonight, and for everyone that's watched the show. But again, guys, really appreciate your support for Hope with Jonathan. And I'd like to thank Judy and Ambreanna for coming on our show. It's an honor to share your story. I know you guys keep thanking me for using my platform, but you guys are really the show. I'm just using the platform to let you guys come on and talk and engage with you. And you guys really are the main part of the show. So we can't do it without our guests. So I really appreciate it. And look for the links in the description, guys. I'll have it there where you'll be able to easily find Judy and Ambreanna and connect with them. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and close out the show. You guys take care. Stay safe.
You guys have a great night. Thank you so much. Nice
to meet you
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.